How are you all? Guess what day it is? April 9th. It is the pub day for The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Probably my most anticipated book of the year. I'm so freaking excited. I have a bit of work to do this morning, but around lunch I'm gonna go over to my local Barnes & Noble and pick it up. I'm so excited, and I'm probably gonna do a little book haul since it's been a minute since I've done one. I was a little naughty and bought some on April 2nd because there were some releases I was really looking forward to getting on April 2nd, so I will do a combined book haul. But I thought it would be fun to do a reading vlog for this book because I'm so excited and I know I'm going to devour it and bring you all along. But yeah, let's do that. Just got back from the gym, so I'm stinky and sweaty and I have some work to do, but I'm going to shower up. Yeah, I'm going to take you with me to get this book. All right, let's go! Pretty. Like the sprayed edges and then the cover pages are... That's so pretty! I'm so happy this is in my hands. It's so pretty. Fate can be changed. Curses can be broken. Leigh, I'm so excited to read this. I'm gonna start today. My workday is wrapped up and of course the sun has decided to hide behind some clouds and not be great for filming, so I apologize. I have to take the dogs out, go for a little walk, and then this is gonna be what I start tonight. I did get some other books. Oops. I will share those with you. I'm gonna put this. I don't want to get dirty. I picked up another fantasy book. I know I said I wasn't gonna do any more series, but I've seen this on so many other creators. Y'all, pump the brakes with all these books y'all are telling me are the best ever. But I couldn't help myself. It just sounded right up my alley and a fantasy I would really like to read. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. This is about it's more Nordic inspired, which I can't say I've read any of yet in fantasy, and it's about a shield maiden. I like that it's a more female driven fantasy. The main character just sounds like a complete badass. Like, a shield maiden? What the hell is a shield maiden? And like, oh yeah, the blue sprayed edges are super pretty. But this is book 1 of Saga of the Unfated. I might read this after The Familiar. I don't know. I'm so intrigued. It's just so pretty. I do like movies that are set during that, and there are some historical fiction that I've really enjoyed that are set in that part of the world. So a fantasy that's inspired by that. Yes, I could not pick it up. This one I was kind of talked into by the bookseller, but I also love when booksellers recommend me books and they come up to me and say, oh, have you heard about this book? Also been on quite the vampire kick this year, and I don't think that's stopping anytime soon. It's one of my favorite subgenres of horror, and that is The God of Endings. This is by Jacqueline Holland, who I did not know is a local writer here in Minnesota. It's about, I'll read the back. Colette Lestrange is a lonely artist who heads up an elite fine art school for children in upstate New York. Her youthful beauty masks the dark truth of her life. She has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache in the wake of her grandfather's long ago decision to make her immortal like himself. Now, in 1984, Colette finds her life upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger for blood. And I read the first few chapters while I was in Barnes & Noble. The writing style really called to me, so it's a pretty thick book. It has a decent rate on Goodreads, but I thought I'd give it a try. The bookseller was super excited about it, and I was like, why not? I'll try it. And it's vampires. I'll eat it up. Pun intended. Speaking of another vampire book I picked up Night's Edge by Liz Caron. I've heard about this so much last year. I saw it everywhere and just never got around to reading it or picking it up. So I was like, it came out in paperback, so I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. And I think there's the sequel, First Light, is also coming out this year. Having a mom like Lizzie meant Leah had to grow up fast, no extracurriculars, no inviting friends over, and definitely no dating. Most important rule, tell no one of Izzy's hunger that no blood can satisfy. But Mia's in her 20s now and longs for a life of her own, one where she doesn't have to worry about anyone discovering their terrible secret or breathing down her neck. When Mia meets rebellious musician Jade, she dares to hope she's found a way to leave her home and her mom behind. It just might be Mia's only chance of getting out alive. So, Alright, let's stay on the vampire train. The train is not pulled into the station yet. We're still on the ride. This is part of the April 2nd releases I picked up. I picked up the sequel to Silver Under Nightfall, Court of Wanderers. This picks up exactly where Silver Under Nightfall leaves off, and it's just a continuation of their journey. This is part of the Reaper series, which is a duology, so this is the final book. I really enjoyed the first one, so I am super excited to pick this one back. Be in this world again with these characters that I absolutely loved in the first one. Okay, we're off the vampire train now. I did pick up, I'm pretty sure this doesn't have vampires. I picked up Abby Jimenez's new novel, Just for the Summer. I absolutely loved Part of Your World so much. I also didn't know she was a Minnesota writer. I was like, what the hell? She's a new author to me, but yeah, I think that's really cool. When it comes to love, Emma's cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up, but it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be unbelievably cute and hilarious. There's some part about them jumping into Lake Minnetonka together, and that's a lake I am well aware of, living in Twin Cities. Yes, I'm excited. I think I will devour this. The last two are litfic that just sounded like weird girl litfic, which is for me 1000% what I want to read. First one is Piglet by Lottie Hazel. I love this. I just want to eat it. It looks so good. Outside of a childhood nickname she can't shake, Piglet's rather pleased with how her life's turned out. An up-and-coming cookbook editor at a London publishing house. She's got lovely, loyal friends and a handsome fiance, Kit. I dated a guy whose nickname was Kit. I'm probably gonna hate this guy. Whose rarefied family she actually most of the time likes, despite their upper class eccentricities. One of the many things Kit loves about Piglet is the delicious, unfathomably elaborate meal she's always cooking. But when Kit confesses a horrible betrayal 2 weeks before they're set to be married, Piglet finds herself suddenly hungry. The couple decides to move forward with the wedding as planned, but as it nears and Piglet's balancing family expectations, pressure at work, and her quest to make the perfect cake, she finds herself increasingly unsettled, behaving in ways she can't explain. And then this was also on my radar, but I bought it in conjunction with Piglet because I thought the covers were really funny. Hold on. A Good Happy Girl by Melissa Higgins. But I bought it because I wanted to read it, but I also bought it in conjunction with Piglet because, oh wait, this is like her. So stupid. I'm so funny. Okay, Good Happy Girl is about Helen, a jittery attorney with a self-destructive streak, is secretly reeling from a disturbing crime of neglect that her parents recently committed. Historically happy to compartmentalize, distracting herself by hooking up with lesbian couples, doting on her grandmother, and flirting with a young administrative assistant, Helen finally meets her match in Catherine and Katrina, a married couple who startle and intrigue her with their ever-increasing sexual and emotional intensity. Perceptive and attentive, Catherine and Katrina prod at Helen's life, revealing a childhood tragedy she's been repressing. When her father begs her yet again for help getting parole, she realizes she has a bargaining chip to get answers to her past. This one's fairly short. These are both fairly short. So that's my book haul. So the rest of this is going to be me reading The Familiar. Ever since I read Ninth House and Hellbent last year, I was like, I think Leigh Bardugo is the author for me. Let's go get in comfy clothes and start reading. Friends, I am having so much fun. I can't believe it, but I'm 70 pages in. I'm taking my time. I've been annotating. I don't know how much you can see, but it's quite a lot. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm basically to the point at the beginning of the book where just like the basic synopsis, like in the inside cover of the book, like what it explains. This follows Louisa, who is a scullery maid for oh hi Mac. I have his balls. I'm hiding it so he won't chomp on it because it makes this crinkly noise. I'll give it back. I just want to update you all. She works for I wouldn't say not middle class, maybe like lower middle class Spanish nobility who treat her like garbage, and obviously working as a scullery maid in the 1500s in Spain, pretty gross. No electricity, no plumbing, no clean water. It's not a good job. Of course, Louisa wants more than that. To make her life a little easier, her aunt has taught her these. I don't speak Spanish very well, so I'm going to try my best. I'm sorry in advance if I mispronounce something. The magic system in this is really cool. In order to make Louisa's life a little bit easier working as a scullery maid, her aunt taught her these magical incantations, are called reframes, a mixture of scraps of languages, the mix of Hebrew, Spanish, Turkish, and Greek that arrived in letters carried over land and sea. Used to make her life a little bit easier, like boiling water quicker, or if the bread is burnt, to make the bread unburnt. Small little things like fix a hole in a sock or mend a dress, like very quick things to just get out of the way and in a timely manner as to not ensue the wrath of her employers. But one day, she's not quite as careful as she usually is or should have been, and her employer, Valentina, figures out she's doing something, and as a way to raise her own status in Spain, starts having her perform what she basically parlor tricks to have more friends and guests of influence and just rise her ranks a little bit. Soon comes under the eye of the king's former secretary, Antonio Perez. So he hears about Louisa and was like, I'm gonna do what her employer's doing. I'm gonna make myself look good because of her talent. Because the king is wanting miracles to basically get back at England, or this is set after the Spanish Armada was sunk by the Queen of England's forces or something. I'm not a history scholar, so I did look some of the stuff up. There's so much history in this book. Leigh Bardugo has done such a great job of research and history telling in the Golden Age, because that was also the height of art and music, painting, fashion, decadence, all the good stuff. Also, that during the Spanish Inquisition, which is not so good at all if you know anything about it. It's pretty awful. You know the Saw movies? The writer was heavily influenced by the Spanish Inquisition when he wrote those. Yeah. The fact that Leigh Bardugo is tackling that, I mean, they've mentioned it a little bit, but I don't think I've even scratched the surface yet of what might be in this book. So the king is hosting a tournament to find holy champion to defeat England and take over the world. All that stuff. The dreams of men. That's where I'm at now, is Louisa's been discovered. Her aunt is kind of like, whoa, you're really, really powerful, because Louisa can do all that small stuff, but she's also discovering that she can do a lot more. Basically grows this massive grapevine, and the fruit that bears you can eat. Well, it's way more than parlor tricks. And MMC, he has just been introduced. Man, I love how Leigh Bardugo writes the MMC, because I loved Darlington in Ninth House. I adore Darlington, so I'm really hoping it'll be the same for Sant'Angelo. He is a familiar to his aunt's patron, who is now Louisa's patron. So he's immortal, I think. I actually didn't look. I know what a familiar is. Is it like Dobby? This man's family, Victor de Perez. Victor de Perez, he's been with his family, employed by his family for a very long time. And he's described, I loved how they described him. Y'all are probably gonna laugh, but I really like how he's described. His hair is so fair it gleamed white, and his eyes glittered in the gloom, silvery. He looked less like a man than statue, an icon made from shells and stone, a sorry saint tucked into niche in neglected parish church. He was unusually tall, and the skin stretched tight over the sharp bones of his face. He looked at once beautiful and like he was dying, as if a sheet had been laid over a particularly handsome corpse. He was lean enough that she wondered if he was a priest, or some kind of monk who would fast himself to dust to bring himself closer to Christ. His eyes had a curious silver quality, glinting like coins. I am feeling the exact same way I felt when I read Night House. I'm having so much fun, and I'm so enraptured in this world that's part of our world. It has all these magic fantasy elements to it that are really cool. The dialogue, the pacing's just like, we are moving. So excited to see where this goes. It's about the same length as Ninth House. It's about it's about 400 pages. So around, is that how long Ninth House was? It's about 400 pages. So, it definitely moves very, very quickly so far. At least in the first 70 pages. We are moving, but I just made a sleepy time mocktail. My little Christmas cup. Or Christmas cup. It's a wine glass. This looks like wine. I look like I'm drunk. I'm just tired. But this is my little sleepy time mocktail, and I have some ambiance going on the YouTube. I'm going to keep reading and hopefully KO. And I do have a bunch of work tomorrow that I have to get done. I'm hoping I can sneak in some time during lunch, and I'll check in with you guys when I've gotten a little further. Hello, it has been a couple days. I wanted to update you on my progress with The Familiar. I am a little bit more than halfway through. I'm on page 231, chapter 34. I'm still really liking it. I just love her writing. I just really like Leigh Bardugo's writing. I love her dialogue between her characters. I really like that it's blending my love of historical fiction with my newer love of fantasy. I will say it's leaning more historical fiction than it is fantasy at the moment. The fantasy elements are not super strong in this, and that might be an issue for some people. I don't care. I'm having so much fun with it. I am taking my time with it. I'm not rushing it. So right now in the plot, like I think the last thing I told you was basically there's a torneo, a tournament of champions to be the king's like holy warrior to defeat England and redeem Spain from their loss from England in the Armada. So they need a holy warrior, and you're introduced to, including Louisa, there's 3 others. There is an olive farmer, an 8-year-old girl, and then another woman who is described as like breathtakingly beautiful, and she has similar magic like Louisa. But I don't like that how many times throughout the first part of the book that it's pointed out that Louisa is very plain looking. She's not beautiful. She doesn't have the looks or appeal for this type of tournament. It kind of reminds me of Hunger Games, where they had to like do like this whole thing for Katniss to make her like presentable and like for people to feel for her. It's kind of like the same thing they're doing for Louisa. They like talked about cutting her hair because she has desert hair or ethnic hair, and they were like, no. And then Santangel was like, no, you will not cut her hair. And I was like, oh. But it's interesting, like I think they've been doing like different rounds or before like the main tournament to see like, and it's dangerous for her because Louisa, if something comes across, or if she speaks in a different language that's not, I guess, okay in this world, that she could be persecuted for being Jewish. And so like this competition is dangerous for her in more than one way, because like they have to show holy magic or holy gifts instead of magic or like satanic practices that could sway either way. I'm really liking the detail that Leigh Bardugo has in this. I think it's so well researched, like the clothes and the food, and even like Santangel and Louisa like flirting, like the 1500s of them flirting, like they can't even look at each other for that long. It's just like, that's improper. Or they can't be alone in the same room together. That's improper. It's just like, ooh. It is more on the slower side. There's not as much action as there was in Ninth House and Hellbent. But if you're okay with that, you're probably gonna love it, because I'm really loving it because I like historical fiction, and this is a time period I haven't read a ton about. So yeah, by the time I check in, I will probably be done. But I hope you all are having a glorious day. Has been the 70s the last few days, which has honestly been very nice. I'm not depressed about that. Been walking around a lot outside, and yeah, it's just been nice. So I hope you are having a glorious day and reading books that you like, and I'll check back in soon. Hello, I finished The Familiar. I have some thoughts. I'm a little disappointed, if I'm honest. When I checked in with you guys, I was a little bit over halfway. That's when I think a big chunk of the plot actually starts to get going, and then it just kind of felt really rushed after that. And since this is a standalone, I wonder if there was pressure pack so much into the last quarter of the book. It felt so rushed at the end. I didn't particularly care for the ending. I just thought it was meh, which is a bummer. Her writing is sharp and witty, and the dialogue between the characters is so great. I felt like the pacing was just so off during the last half of the book, especially the last quarter, and it's just a bummer. I did like the characters. I didn't love them. I wanted to love them more. I wanted the romantic part of it to be stronger and have more chemistry. I'm just left wanting more, and I didn't expect to feel that way. Maybe my expectations were just really high going into this, and it just felt like something was missing, and it felt like it needed to be either longer. I think it needed to be longer, honestly. I think it was really rushed. I think she needed another 200, 300 pages, and if it had kept the same pacing as it was at the beginning, this would have been a 5-star read for sure. If just kind of got a little goofy towards the end. Yeah, that's my final thoughts on this, unfortunately. And this was my most anticipated read of the year, so I'm a little bummed and disappointed. Have you all read The Familiar yet? What are your thoughts on it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know down below. I would love to know your thoughts and to chat about it. And if you can't think of anything else to say, go ahead and put the scorpion emoji. If you know, you know. As always, thank you so much for clicking. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll have a new video for you soon. Bye!